Does this bank look familiar? How about this urgent care office? This restaurant? That's right, as if from an old episode of Scooby-Doo where the villain is hiding in some kind of terrible disguise, they were all once Pizza Huts. And the fact that you can still clock it, even with a completely different sign on the door, tells you something about how big this company was. Sure, Pizza Hut has been slowly shutting down for years, we all know that, not super surprising, but things hit a new level this year when on February 4th, Pizza Hut's parent company, Yum! Brands, said this.
We expect approximately 250 targeted closures of underperforming units.
And as if that wasn't enough to expedite its collapse, on June 16th, Yum! Brands announced it was selling Pizza Hut for $2.7 billion. Once the largest pizza chain in the world, today, Pizza Hut is built for a world that no longer exists. Ironic, considering it was among the first companies to sell products online. So, how did Pizza Hut go from clearly investing in the future to being run over by it? To find out how, I went through 2 decades of Pizza Hut commercials, traced a shift from dine-in to delivery, and broke down the system that turned its biggest strength into its critical weakness. To begin tracking the collapse, we need to go back to Pizza Hut's peak in 1995.
Is it another worldly spirit compelling these people to eat their pizza the wrong way? No, it's new stuffed crust pizza.
Wait. Rewind that. Freeze right there. Tables full of people. This is Pizza Hut's business model. Big dine-in restaurants, salad bars, those red lamps above the tables, birthday parties. The whole operation was designed around a massive physical footprint, meant to be a destination. A place you load the kids into the minivan for a Friday night. And in 1995, the bet was paying off. Pizza Hut was at its peak, with over 8,000 locations in North America and almost $4 billion in net sales worldwide. The stuffed crust launch alone drove $300 million that year. Now, don't get me wrong, stuffed crust was a major innovation, but not, in my view, its most innovative, because the year before, Pizza Hut had already built the future. Meet PizzaNet. It was a website where you could order pizza online, before Amazon, before PayPal, before anyone had ever even heard the words add to cart. Pizza Hut tested PizzaNet starting just here, in Santa Cruz, California in 1994. It was one of the first times a physical product was ever purchased on the internet. You'd fill out a form on the site, headquarters in Kansas would relay the order to the local store that would call you to confirm, then they'd make the pizza and deliver it to you. Pizza Hut had essentially invented online ordering, but it never invested in scaling this business breakthrough, probably because the dine-in machine was printing money. And as long as that machine kept working, there was no reason to change it.
Pizza Hut, your triple deckeroni pizza. Baby.
Wow! What a pizza!
Hold up, freeze right there. That crying baby says it all, at least the part about how Pizza Hut was really feeling at the time. Look, just roll with it. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Pizza Hut was about to go from being part of a well-resourced portfolio in one of the world's biggest food conglomerates to becoming one of 3 competing brands crying out for attention. In 1997, Pizza Hut's then parent company, PepsiCo, decided it no longer wanted to be in the restaurant business. This wasn't a random purge. Its CEO basically said they wanted to focus. Restaurants and packaged goods are entirely different businesses, and both would be better if run separately. Look at this PepsiCo segment performance chart leading into 1997, and you'll see the deeper truth behind the desire for separation. North American snacks and beverages were up as much as 14%. US restaurants were down 15%. Snacks and drinks were high-margin, capital-light businesses. So, PepsiCo chose chips and soda and spun off Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell into a new company, Tricon Global Restaurants, later renamed Yum! Brands. This matters more than it sounds. Under PepsiCo, Pizza Hut had access to the resources of a beverage and snack empire. Now, it's one of 3 brands competing for attention and capital inside a restaurant-only company. See where I was going with the whole baby thing? I landed it. I knew you didn't think I was going to do it, but I did it. And crucially, Tricon Yum pursued an asset-light strategy, shifting from company-owned stores to franchisees. From 1997 to 2025, Pizza Hut transitioned its stores from about half franchised to over 99% franchised. The relationship went like this. Corporate made the demands and franchisees bore the costs for making all changes, updating building, menus, equipment, etc. And for how long? Well, here's where it gets even more interesting. Let's look first at competitors. Domino's and Papa John's both use standard 10-year franchise agreements. So a franchisee who signed in 2003 could exit or renegotiate by 2013. Pizza Hut's franchise agreement? Well, they decided to make it as long as your average house mortgage. A franchisee who signed in 2003 was contractually bound until 2033. So from 1997, when it was spun off, to today, Pizza Hut lost its PepsiCo safety net, pushed responsibility onto individual franchisees, and fumbled its potential revolutionary online ordering system. And behind the scenes, deep in the dough, if you will, was a major financial problem slowly poisoning the company from within. Seeing all of this, instead of slowing down, Pizza Hut actually speeds up. And that's usually how it happens. Companies don't collapse because they stop moving. They collapse because they double down on the wrong thing. If you're trying to understand how businesses actually survive moments just like this or avoid them entirely, our team put together a breakdown of what the companies that do make it back get right. It's called the Business Comeback Playbook. It walks through how companies pivot, where they usually fail, and what signals actually matter when things start to turn. You can grab it at the link below or scan the QR code.
Ah, Sicily. Pizza Hut Sicilian pizza tastes like you are there.
Wait a minute! We're not in Sicily. We're in Cleveland.
On the surface, it just looks like Pizza Hut doing another gimmick. A Sicilian pizza for $8.99. But the fresh Italian family is actually hinting at an identity shift. Because around the same time, Pizza Hut wasn't just trying to sell pizza anymore. In 1994, Pizza Hut had roughly 8,000 traditional locations in the US. By 2005, Yum Brands' SEC filings show a greater share of locations is run by franchise operators than the company. And there are fewer US locations overall. See, for the last 10 years or so, Pizza Hut has suffered a slow bleed as dine-in traffic softened. Pizza Hut needed a way to bring back in-person diners. So, in 2003, based on data reported in Nation's Restaurant News that 74% of Americans eat pasta at least once a week, it launched Tuscany Pasta.
These people have no idea the pasta they're about to have was actually delivered by Pizza Hut.
What did you get? Mac and cheese with the bacon?
Can I have your attention, please? Pizza Hut delivered the pasta.
2 million dinners sold in the first month. $5 million in the first year. Not bad, but was it enough to entice more diners back to the stores? To answer that question, I need to introduce you to NPC International. This is a private equity firm that by 2006 had become Pizza Hut's largest franchisee. NPC had been scaling alongside Pizza Hut since 1962, either building from the ground up or buying struggling locations from franchisees and growing through acquisition, expanding from one location in 1962 to 790 by 2006. After digging through SEC filings and press releases, I found that NPC was expanding by buying Pizza Hut locations in bulk. Between 2000 and 2009, NPC acquired nearly 600 Pizza Hut locations. But here's the catch. As successful as NPC looked on its way to 2009, it was bought out in 2006 by a private equity firm. Because here's how private equity looks at a business like NPC. Hundreds of locations, predictable royalty streams, long-term contracts, that's predictable cash flow, making it perfect for one of private equity's favorite tactics, a leveraged buyout. This is where you buy a company with borrowed money and make that same company pay it back. And like a blueprint hiding in plain sight, it's all right there in the documents around the acquisition. The deal was financed with hundreds of millions in debt, which was then placed on NPC itself and serviced by its own cash flows. This means the goal of acquiring NPC wasn't just to run restaurants. It was to turn those cash flows into debt payments. To keep up with the debt, NPC needed to keep growing. And around the same time, Pizza Hut had a problem of its own. In 2005, Yum Brands opened more than 700 new restaurants for the 6th straight year. But during the same period, Pizza Hut's US footprint had fallen nearly 6%. In this 10K, the company admits its strategy: sell off restaurants to franchisees to reduce their own costs while still pointing to system-wide sales growth. So it started offloading stores to NPC. That's right. Pizza Hut wasn't just passively watching its largest franchisee get bigger. It was assisting its growth by selling some of its stores. In just 3 months between 2008 and 2009, Pizza Hut corporate offloaded 295 locations straight to NPC. By 2009, about a quarter of NPC's entire Pizza Hut footprint came directly from Pizza Hut itself. So in order to survive, Pizza Hut needed to get smaller. In order to keep up with the debt, NPC needed to get bigger. Following? Then in 2011, private equity firm Olympus Partners acquired NPC, layering new debt on top of existing obligations. NPC is now running over 1,200 Pizza Hut locations, roughly 1 out of every 6 in the country, while carrying nearly $1 billion in debt. It all got complicated, but the point here is that every new location meant more real estate, more leases, and more build-out costs. Full dine-in restaurants with expensive footprints designed for a sit-down experience that fewer people wanted. And right as all that cost is piling up, the way people order pizza is starting to change.
2 pizzas, 5 breadsticks, and your choice of wings, Tuscany pasta, or 4 stuffed pizza rollers for $19.99. Order it online and score a free 2-liter Pepsi. Pizza Hut, make it great.
Another deal to get people buying, but focus on those 3 words. Order it online. It comes with an emphasis on online ordering. Yeah, after initiating it almost 20 years ago and not really doing anything with it, Pizza Hut was back online. Looks like a smart move. This is where the story really turns. Not just because of what Pizza Hut did, but because of how Domino's responded. To really see the digital arms race this became, we've got to jump around the timeline just for a second. Pizza Hut went nationwide with online ordering in 2003. Domino's launches its online ordering system 4 years later. But then Domino's follows up with Pizza Tracker. Now you can watch your order in real time. See our full video on Domino's success when you're done watching this video, by the way. Just saying. A year later, it ranks #1 in online ordering sales. That same year, Pizza Hut dropped the first mobile app in the category. Domino's answered with its own app in 2011 and made $1 million in sales in its first 28 days. By 2013, Domino's accounted for over 30% of all digital pizza spending in the US. By 2015, more than half of its US sales were digital. Pizza Hut lags behind. A year later, digital is only about 1/3 of Pizza Hut sales. So Pizza Hut, with a 13-year head start, is still trailing. It invented online ordering, but while the ordering was digital, the operation wasn't. It has these big, expensive stores with decades-long leases, which require a sufficient number of in-person diners. Domino's, on the other hand, had smaller stores geared toward delivery and were easier to retrofit. Have you been to a Domino's lately? I don't think there's room to hang out in one, even if you wanted to. Even as Pizza Hut's corporate pushed to convert locations into smaller delivery and carryout units, the franchisees running those locations couldn't afford to tear down and rebuild, especially the ones carrying PE debt. Yum's CEO admitted they needed to address franchisees weighed down by debt or lacking capital. Pizza Hut didn't fall because it didn't try digital. It fell behind because its physical infrastructure made digital transformation economically impossible at a franchise level. By 2019, that tension between a corporation pushing for transformation and franchisees who couldn't afford it would reach a breaking point. This commercial, showing the battle over having better crust than the competition, was happening at the same time the company was battling itself. In 2019, Pizza Hut officially launched what would eventually become known as the Hut Forward strategy, a plan to close dine-in locations and shift to delivery-optimized formats, which helps explain why you'll see some locations that look like they could be Pizza Huts, but are now banks. Because really think about this. If you're a franchise owner, you're facing either an extreme renovation to redo your building or moving to a new building entirely while still being on the hook for a costly 30-year lease. This was going to be an uphill battle. Anyway, that year, Pizza Hut took a step to help its franchisees by allowing them to defer required remodels for a year or two. But not everybody was eligible. Remember NPC? Let's go back to them. By 2020, relations between NPC and Pizza Hut declined. NPC missed interest payments in January 2020. Coupled with the pandemic, it was too much. By July, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. According to documents in its own bankruptcy filing, NPC was deemed ineligible for the breaks. This isn't just one franchisee failing. NPC operated roughly 16 to 20% of all Pizza Hut locations in the US. When it collapsed, it took a significant chunk of the network with it. The largest operator of the brand, the company that had been scaling alongside Pizza Hut for nearly 60 years, broke under the weight of a model that couldn't adapt. Pizza Hut is still here. Still the #1 pizza chain globally by location count. Though, as we've discussed, that can be more of a burden than a bragging right. Because if we look at other data, we know the brand's US market share has dropped from 22.6% in 2019 to 18.7% in 2024. And same-store sales have declined for 8 straight quarters between 2024 and 2025. In November 2025, Yum Brands did something it had never done in almost 30 years of ownership. It announced a strategic review of Pizza Hut, including a possible sale of the entire brand. The reason? Yum's other brands are thriving. Just look at the chart. Despite its scale, Pizza Hut generated less than both KFC and Taco Bell. Pizza Hut didn't fail because it ignored the future. It failed because the structure it built to scale, massive dine-in locations, debt-financed franchisees, and a corporate model that pushed costs downward became the thing that prevented it from changing. Lesson learned, the structure you build to grow can become the structure that locks you in place. If you want to understand how companies actually break out of that, we put it all together in the Business Comeback Playbook, link below. There's an odd, unexplainable phenomenon haunting Pizza Hut. Is it another worldly spirit compelling these people to eat their pizza the wrong way? No, it's new stuffed crust pizza.